Credit reports and bills of sorts.
Credit reports
I
and
am
bills
your
of
guest host, Christopher Paul Dugdale, MEDMA. We are Duncanville High School in these United States, and today is May 19th, 2021. And on this date in history, in 1536, so 485 years ago today, Anna Boleyn, the second wife of Henry VIII, died of natural causes when her head fell off after coming into contact with a blade. Sometimes those things just happen. It makes our lives a little bit harder, but you keep a stiff upper lip and just try and fight through it, and just realize that other people are suffering too. So you want to be responsible. Everyone have a great day. So we're talking about something that is, I guess it's extremely important, but it's not a fun topic to talk about. Okay, so being able to get things that you want in life, being able to buy them without having the money and having to borrow it from others, you have to follow a certain set of rules, and that's going to lead us to our exciting and very fun talk in no way whatsoever about credit reporting. Okay, so credit reports are sources of reports. This has to do with any type of credit that you had over the years, whether it is a credit card that you have with a company to buy a TV, a computer, anything that you had to do along those lines where you made payments. It'll also go with your mortgage. Your rent can show up there. Most of the time, things like rent and electric only show up if you didn't pay them. Now, if you're paying for your cell phone company, again, it doesn't show up unless you didn't pay them. So if you get behind on something like that, the best thing to do would be to go in, settle that with the company so that it's no longer a black mark on your record, because it can control whether or not you're able to buy a house or car in the future, or whether you're going to pay, twice what you should have to pay because your credit's not good and someone's having to take a lot of risk to loan you some money. It lets you see if anyone's doing any fraud under your name, and in a way of disputing it as well. Also, some places for you to get a job, they make you do pull a credit report, or they'll pull a credit report on you to see if you can be put in a place that manages money, or if you might not be good on it based on the fact that you don't take care of that in your life. Anyway, it's not my judgment, it's theirs. So the way that the credit cycle works is you pay the lender will update their records, and then the lender will share that information with the credit reporting companies, and then the credit reporting companies will share that with the lenders, and then you pay the lender and the cycle will continue. It's pretty simple in that standpoint. So what's in a credit report? Okay, well, there's information that identifies you. Generally, it will have your name and the last few addresses of places that you have lived. It'll have all the different accounts you've had for about the last 7 years, but some of those could pop up from as far as 10 years ago. Okay, any type of public record information on you. Anytime that someone has opened a credit inquiry on you. So if, let's say, you applied for a credit card last week, well, that information would be on there as well. And also there's instructions on how to dispute anything that does not seem correct. Now, how long is information stored? So if you have an open account and you make your payments on time, it is open as long as you have the account, but once you close it, it'll be on there for about 10 years. Okay. If you have any late or missed payments, you're looking at 7 years of information that'll be there. If there's an account that's in collections, so you decided, I'm just not going to pay my credit card anymore, that will sit on there for 7 years. If you, let's say you lived at a place and you didn't pay the rent, then that'll sit on there for 7 years also. Okay? If you filed bankruptcy, Chapter 7, which is a pretty unforgiving one, and Chapter 13, which is a little bit easier, then that'll sit on there for 7 or 10 years, depending on which one you filed. If there's a tax lien on your house and you didn't pay it, or there's a tax lien that you just haven't paid, that will sit on you for about 10 years. If you paid it late, it'll sit on there for, well, I'm sorry, if you paid it, it'll be there for about 7 years. Okay? But that also means that you had a lien on it that, so you didn't meet some type of terms of something that you had in the past. And then credit inquiries will sit on there for about 2 years. So if you're about to buy a house, then of course you'll have the credit inquiry for the mortgage, but then also you'll have one for starting your electric plan, starting your plumbing, and a few other things like that whenever you're moving into a house. So just remember this now. There are things you can do to fix some of these problems, and we'll get into that. So what's not in a credit report? Criminal background. If you spent time in jail, it will not show that. Okay, it won't show if you have any type of medical problems. It won't show the type of things that you pay, just the places that you opened accounts with. It says that it doesn't show bank account information, but it does show bank accounts, and it will show if you're not in good standing with it. And well, we'll just go with that for now. So if there is something that is a mistake on your credit report, once you have your credit report, and you can do this from each one of the different credit services, whether it's Experian or any one of the credit services. So you can actually do all of this online, or you can contact the place and do it. Now, if you have a debt that's been there for a few years, which hopefully you don't, because that could hurt you getting loans or getting good rates on your loans. But if you do, you can call with them, and sometimes you can negotiate a lower price than what you owe. Most of the time, they'll settle for about 60 or 70 cents on the dollar. So you can put out an offer, they can put out an offer, and just kind of go back and forth until you find something that you like. But you can dispute things that are inaccurate on your credit report. In fact, you can also dispute some things that are accurate if there's a bad thing. The worst thing that could happen is they would just verify that debt is real. But other than that, they might not be able to do it in the time, and if that's the case, then you might be able to get something knocked off. So now, as easy as the process is, it's probably not a bad idea to try. Processing a dispute. Okay, so they have up to 30 days whenever you file a dispute to be able to verify that they have a legitimate dispute with you. Okay, so that's if any of your information is incorrect on it, or if you tried to pay it off. Okay, because once you pay it off, you can send that into the credit companies, or to the companies that do the credit scores, and then they'll take those off of your report. Okay, so that's one of the options that you have. Okay, so but just remember that you have to give them at least 30 days from the time that you put it in, and sometimes they can stretch that into business days instead of calendar days. So just keep an eye on it. But like Experian and these other companies that do your credit scores, they'll keep pretty good track of this. Okay, so okay, now you want to be careful with any companies that claim that they can easily fix your credit. You shouldn't have to pay for someone to do that. Okay, there's nothing that they can do that you can't do for free. Now, there might be some companies that can take all of your debt and band it together so that you can pay it off in a monthly payment instead of putting it all together. But that is one of the options that you do have. Okay. They also can't legally collect any money from you until they've actually done what they said they're going to do. So anytime a credit repair company calls you up and says they can fix your credit, just realize that you can do all of the same things that they're doing, and you can do it for free, and you can do it just by downloading your credit report. Okay. Uh, so every time you try and buy a car, buy a home, or once you start a new credit account, uh, it will pull up as an inquiry into your credit, and it will have a small effect on your credit. Okay. Now, if you have a bunch of these done within about the same 2-week period, then there's not a major effect on your credit report. But just be aware that as you're about to buy a house, you might want to wait to buy your car and your new furniture and your new appliances until you close on the mortgage instead of doing it before, because it just makes it look, well, it'll help you get generally one of the better rates instead of having all those inquiries right before. So just be careful on that type of thing when you're buying a house. Okay. Now, the FICO score, okay, there's 3 main credit bureaus. You've got TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Generally, they're all very similar, okay? Now, what they do is they look at all these different things together, and they try and determine your credit worthiness, okay? And so can have a credit score of anywhere from 300 to 850, okay? For most things that you want to do, you need a score of at least 620, but really for a decent rate on a car loan, and especially on a house, you want to have something at least around 700. And there are ways that you can do that, keeping most of your balance off of your credit card. So, if you have a credit card and you have a $5,000 balance, if you can keep it at 500 or below, then that's a good thing. You don't want to completely not use your cards, because then that doesn't build up a credit history. But by keeping a smaller balance on that, that's a good thing. You also want to make sure that you're making all your payments on time and make your payments each month. And the more that you can do to reduce any of these credits, then the amount on these loans and other things you have, the lower your debt to income ratio, and the better that makes your FICO score look as well. But if you have some things that are outstanding, you can always pay those off, and that will also improve your FICO score. So I hope all of this was helpful. Everyone have a great day. Hey, thank you for another great day. I hope you all had a great day. Be safe. Don't cocaine. Don't AIDS. And don't COVID, even if you think that you're fine. If you see someone COVIDing out, go up to them and go, hey, give me full-blown COVID like you. And then you take the vials of COVID and you pour it in your eyes and in your mouth, and then inject it into directly into your spleen, which would be very difficult to do. Don't do that, okay? I'm your teacher. I will write you up if you do it, so please don't, okay? So this is Doug Dell, and I'll see you on the other side.